Okay, let's chat. Hi everybody, I'm Violin Kwon and welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a different video. It's going to be a chit chat video because today I am 10 years sober. I am honestly super surprised to be sitting here right now talking to you guys about being 10 years sober because I didn't think I was going to make it. I've gone back and forth about posting, which is why this video is probably going up at like what? Up at 8 because it's like 7 now. And it is because I've been debating about like posting and not posting because I've been super private about my sobriety because it was personal, and also the last few years I feel like it can be ammunition to be used against me because I feel like I'm in an unsafe environment in that kind of situation. So I felt like I couldn't even talk about it. Like all day I've been like, should I post about it, not post about it? Because it is it's a very important part to me because I'm 10 years sober. That was not an easy thing to do. You know, that's not an easy thing to do. And for my own healing and to maybe help someone to even like listen to someone else's story. I don't even know if this is going to help anyone, but if it does, I think I praise God because that would be amazing. That's what we should do in the sober family. We should just like be there for each other. You know, it's not like an easy thing to do, you know? So here we go. This is unscripted. I don't have notes. I don't have anything. It might be a little choppy, unorganized, but please bear with me. But this is my story. So November 1st, 2009. I should start from Halloween. Halloween 2009. Halloween was a good day in Boston. I personally didn't celebrate Halloween my entire life. I still don't. But to me, that was get crunk day. I mean, every day was get crunk day, but that was like get extra crunk day. That was like a party. Don't go to school the next day. It was like as the kids say now, it was a lit day. That's what you look forward to, like from the first day of school. And I remember going to a party, not even clubbing, like a party. And we were, you know, Fun Grace was out because Drunk Grace is always Fun Grace. Oh, gosh. Drunk Grace was a party queen. Like it was so fun. Like people, like my brother, I think low-key my brother misses the hell out of Drunk Grace because I caught him a few times trying to get me to drink and whatever because I think he really low-key misses her. And I understand why, because she was real fun. But she's a figment. She's not a real person. You know what I mean? She's not like, she shouldn't exist. Fun Grace should exist, but Crunk Grace shouldn't exist. Because Crunk Grace she does a lot of crazy things. So, I remember November 1st, I remember it turning past midnight and being at a friend's house. Like a bunch of us. And I remember whose house it is, but for his privacy, I'm not going to say his name. But it was close. I was at BOGO at the time. He was on Westland Avenue. He was living on Westland Avenue, like right around the corner. And I remember just turning midnight. We had gone to, like, we went from one party to another party, then to his house. And I remember thinking, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done drinking. It wasn't I gotta stop drinking. It was just kind of like this epiphany moment. Like, I'm done. I don't need to drink anymore. Like, not even like I don't need to drink. I gotta stop drinking. It was none of that. It was just, I'm done. And thank God, because 2 months after that I was saved, and then 10 months after that I was baptized and fully immersed in, you know, a God-centered life. So I'm very, very grateful. But yeah. My second year of grad school, no more alcohol. And to understand how crazy that is, we are going to go back to my college days. We're going to talk about what drinking meant to me back then. Drinking for me started college. It started as a way to cope with being in an environment where, like, you know, perfection is an expectation and not achievable, but it's supposed to be achievable, and you know, just you know, it was just like, why is everybody so freaking good? You know, you go from being like the best in like your little crowd to like literally the best of every single world being at your in front of your face, and like everyone is like freaking brilliant, everyone is good, and everyone is like bomb. And I was like, fudge popsicles, man. And instead of me working hard right away, I freaked out and, you know, drank. It went from just being able to cope, which is kind of different than what I'm gonna talk about later, to like partay time, and then to self-medication. So when I started, I was a super lightweight. I remember the first day I like drank. I was at this, it wasn't Friends, it was this restaurant called Kaya on Boylston. And my very good friend, who I call my sister, was the this is how she and I became friends. She was a waitress there, and I had like finished 3 soju bottles in like less than 10 minutes. If you guys don't, that's 35 freaking proof. I mean, like that is not good on an empty stomach. It was not good. So I was like crying and talking to another Violin friend. I was like, oh, you know, and she made sure I got home safe. It put her phone number in my phone, and then we just became really good friends like since then, like 20 years now. So I was not very good at drinking, but I'm a violinist. What do? We practice until we get freaking perfect. And I did. Within a year, I went from being a freaking lightweight that like couldn't handle Smirnoff to finishing scorpion bowls on my own. It was just like, and then when you did that, it was like, woohoo! Fun Grace would come out. Free Grace, not restrained by anything Grace would come out, which meant like it was just, I was like a party in a box. That's what, you know, like my friends call it, just party in a box. Just crazy Grace. Crunk Grace, just like, ugh. And then it quickly escalated from me just trying to cope, get good at drinking, to self-medication. For alcohol or for any substance, the moment to worry for your life is when that happens. When you start self-medicating. When literally at the end of the day, the only thing that's gonna help you feel better is by getting drunk. That is when to hit that bell and be like, great, okay, we need to check in for some health care here. You know, take care of yourself, your soul care. That, of course, then carried me through, you know, it was a lot. It was just, I just didn't know how to cope back then. And I had to go, and between freshman and sophomore year, some horrible things just happened. And I couldn't get through the day without drinking. Like, I couldn't do anything without drinking. However, I never did pills, I never did weed, I didn't do any I didn't do any of the things that was around me at the time. So in my head, I was like, at least I'm not doing that. I'm doing something completely legal. Drinking is fine. However, drinking is fine, but and the next thing, I had friends that would come to rehearsal. I remember being in the Brahms quintet. The cellist came completely like red. And he was going through his own thing because he was about to get shipped back to Korea to go to military. The only way to get around that is to do this, and you know, all that stuff. So I understand he had lots of stress. But other people would also come to like rehearsals like drunk, and like would have alcohol in their cup for a 9 a.m. rehearsal. And I had one friend that would make her oatmeal with alcohol and then put it in a cup and say it's her breakfast during rehearsal, and would like eat it while the conductor is working on certain sections. So in my mind, I was like, compared to them, I am pretty good, because I wouldn't drink during school hours. I would go to school, teach, do my work. What would I do? I can't remember. I know for sure that part. Maybe dinner? I don't remember, because as soon as my butt went home and I had nothing else to do, it was like just alcohol. And when the Grey Goose got a little too crazy and expensive, I would get the box wine and literally finish the freaking box wine. I would drink until I can't remember anything. until like blackout. I actually I invented a drink called Mind Eraser, but that's a different story. Over the years I got, okay, quick story, the Mind Eraser. Over the years I perfected a way, when you drink as much as what I just described, you wake up with freaking hangover, okay? And you're not, and my rehearsals in the morning were like 9 a.m. at Jordan Hall, and our rehearsals were 3 hours, and you couldn't fudge up. You just couldn't mess up. You shouldn't mess up. So what I had to figure out what to do, my friends would come in like with sunglasses on in the middle of the freaking winter. A friend of mine who was a cellist would have to go to the bathroom, say that they're going to the bathroom. And in Jordan Hall, there is like a waiting area in the girls' bathroom, women's bathroom. And she just lied down and took a 30-minute nap there. So that was her thing. We all ended up okay. Okay, I'm just saying, like, this is just kind of like what happens during your college years, I guess. I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying it as kind of like that was the fact during our life there. And I came up with a drink that would get me to the party grace really quickly, much faster than if I was drinking like Patron or something, and wouldn't have like a hangover. Like it took me years to perfect it, but it was called the Mind Eraser, and it was like you chug and it works. A lot of people, anyone who went with me to AMF will tell you that the drink is really fun. I don't recommend it. I'm sorry. I don't recommend it. But if you are, it's like the experience is condensed, so you can get your freebie out and then just go back to normal and be okay for the next day. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it. But it is a great way to deal with stress for some people who may not live a sober life. Anyway, that's beside the point. I don't even know where I was. Oh, I would drink until like I black out. And the thing about alcohol is you grow a tolerance to it. Like you grow a tolerance even for an Asian. And like, you know, the liquor gets harder and, you know, stuff like that. I would like to drink until I black out. That was the only way for me to sleep with the things I had endured at that point. And not all of it was school, honestly. It was certain things that was happening. Certain things that had happened that took years of coping. And then one of my favorite teachers died of breast cancer. And it was just like, it was just way too much. It was honestly just way too much. And then it was just like, she was like a devout Christian. She died of cancer. She died because she just didn't take treatment because she didn't believe in drugs. Her specific line of faith didn't, you know, incorporate science and medicine. And it kind of like hit me at one point. It's like, why are you relying on alcohol to get you through your day? You can't be that much of a pansy. I'm sorry, this is just how I talk to myself. And when I stopped drinking, that was the reason I was able to get saved. Because when you stop self-medicating, you are now open to certain things that are now going on in your life. You're not just muting everything, because that's what it is. It's just like, you just can't take it, so shut up. Mute on all your problems. That's what drinking is. That's what blacking out is. It's just a fantastical delusion, because reality is still true. Those problems are still there, and you just gotta deal with it. Being sober now made me answer when I got God's call and open to the Bible, and I've learned how to deal with things, learn how to cope, and it was actually really great because I ended up like practicing 5-6 hours a day, being very productive. That was probably my favorite degree. If anyone asked me if they should go to Boston Conservatory, I would say yes. It was definitely a moment in life I wish I could relive over, like constantly and over again, because that was like a really great time. I was like in 6 chamber groups. I was on fire. I had just cut out everything that was bad in my life, and I did pretty good. Like I started making really big I did pretty good. It made me more receptive to educational stuff. It made me more inquisitive about musical stuff, more depth, and it was cool. So I've been sober 10 years. And I have I think there's a lot of sobriety videos on YouTube, and from a couple of the stories I've heard, People talk about the first 30, 60 days, 90 days being like hella hard. I think because I got saved in the first couple of months and I found I like reading, just consuming the Bible, cutting out even Facebook and cutting out, like at that time, MySpace and YouTube and all that stuff. Like I went on basically on a media freaking fast for like 5 years. After that, like it was just cutting out things and groups and people that were not good for me in my life. I think that kind of made it super good for me, like made it possible for those 90 days not to be hard. Like, to be honest, out of this 10-year stretch, this last 2 weeks would be hell, and then the last few years would be second degree hell. And it has totally to do with what is basically like the specific path I'm on right now to achieve certain things. That was not even my choice to begin with, but I'm stuck here because rock hard place grace, and I have to finish this, and I don't know how else to finish this. It's too late to back out now, and then I don't see an end, so that's been hell. But until that point, I will talk to you about my journey then, okay? I did this sobriety thing without AA. I didn't even know what AA was. There was no Alcohol Anonymous poster or anything. I honestly found out watching the first episode of Elementary. That's how I found out about AA. I did this completely on my own. Well, by the grace of God, with Jesus, with the Bible. Like, that was my arsenal. But I did this on my own, and I'm gonna tell you, people, it's not the easiest thing in the world, because there are such things as temptations. But it's more like, oh shitness, like how do I get through this day kind ofness. Step one to sobriety, I think, is really getting rid of the people that either trigger or is associated with whatever you're into. So I stopped going to parties, and honestly I thought maybe I was like a dud, and I can see why my brother would miss party grace so much, because I didn't want to go out anymore, and I didn't like, I wasn't like party great. I wasn't party queen anymore. I didn't like, it took me years before I realized, oh, I can have a fun time without booze. Like, it took me like 5 years to realize that, like, for reals. And I realized, oh, just being me is crazy enough. It was just like, oh, I can have fun even without booze. Like, that took years. So you'll get there if you're just starting your sobriety and you feel like kind of muted. Because that's kind of like what I felt like. And I didn't know if that was just me being sober or me becoming Christian and cutting out everything that I felt like was toxic in my life, which was also social media, people, groups I was in, like specific music I was playing, and the cutting out people with certain lifestyles, not staying out late, going to bed early, waking up at 7 a.m. to go practice. It was a very different life. And let me tell you, when you wake up at 7 a.m. and go practice, even if you do 5 straight hours, it's only noon. So you get like a lot of stuff done. And so like my calendar, if I go back to 2009, I remember my brother looking at my calendar and going like, what the living F? Because it was like rehearsal, practice, because I was in a GPD program, which is a performance master's, or basically like a graduate performance diploma. That's what GPD stands for. And it was just like rehearsal, practice, concert. I did like 90 premieres and like literally like that year alone. It was very productive. I'm telling you, when you cut out stuff that's bad in your life starts cruising. But I'll tell you all the other stuff I had to also, that I personally did. I went hyper. Like I went like full crazy. Like, that's just what I do. When I commit to something, I go like 1000%. So I'm gonna just tell you, without revealing who they are, but very close people were addicts, like hardcore addicts. And when she was sent to rehab, one of them was sent to rehab, one of them just kept burning through, because one of them come from money, and she would have like dealers just come in and out of the house. I remember walking into the house and being like, they're like weighing things, and I'm like, oh Lord Jesus, I need to get out of here. She was smoking so much that her dog like got screwed up, and it was not good. And then the other person who was very close to me at that time, she was finally put in a position where she had to be sent to rehab, and she became sober. The only problem is they jacked her up with a lot of pharmaceuticals, so she had like a really hard time the last year. She's good now. she's popping out babies left and right. She's living an amazing life now, and she's a professor, so she's like, she's good now. But she's a professor. I think that's just God's grace. The fact that her babies came out perfect and she's living a great life, that's just Jesus, okay? That's Jesus. For her, I remember she became sober before I became sober, like 2 years before I became sober. I shouldn't say that. She tried, the first time she went to rehab and tried to get sober, it was 2 years before I even thought about at that time, once again, I was saying, all I do is drink at night until I can go to bed, which basically is code for I drink until I blacked out. Okay, so that was like justification in my head. Stupid. Anyway, I remember a trick that she used, because she didn't just drink, she did I think everything except for acid. So her thing wasn't depressants. She would mix between depressants and, you know, those things, like, so Coke and stuff like that. When she got sober, she would keep M&Ms in the freezer, and she would be consuming chocolate left and right, so she gained some weight, whatever. Which I think is fine, but she was like, she's Asian, she's like this big anyway. I never even questioned her, but during a conversation, she's like, Grace, why do you think I have chocolates everywhere? And I was like, I don't know. I didn't even think that was weird, because, you know, I keep Cheetos everywhere, so, you know, it's equal. And she's like, Grace, the chocolate gives me a high. It gets me through the day. And I was like, and I remember when I got sober, that was like the first thing I thought of. Like the first thing I thought of. So I'm no longer drinking, but I don't want anything to put me in a place where my actions are being motivated by something else. So I cut out caffeine. Like even now, I will rarely drink coffee. It's like an emergency situation, I'll drink coffee. For years, I didn't even eat chocolate after, especially after what she said to me. I made sure I never took anything that would make me, like, give me a high or give me a low. Like, nothing that would, I just literally kept balance. So, like, I even went vegan for, like, 18 months. Like, when it came to hardcore, like, in control of my body, I did that. Like, even, like, fasting for 24 freaking hours, I would make that happen. Like, just out of sheer freaking will. Can I do that now? No, because I can't even stop myself from eating chicken wings for 7 days straight. But like, I just, you know, like at that time I was so like, I need to control this. I need to have control of my body. I need to have control of my mind. I have to have control of everything, my soul, everything. So I went the extreme route. So I didn't even have iced tea. My students were not even allowed to have iced tea. It was like a pretty intense, like, boot camp kind of situation for me. And it worked for me. I don't know if that's your path, but I'm telling you that kind of worked for me, to be under strictness like that. And then once I got that control, I started introducing meats and stuff like that. So that's probably why I went from like 200 pounds when I came back from Boston the first time to like 100 something pounds. And then now back to 200. So that's basically how I dealt with it the first few years. I drink iced tea now and stuff like that, but my sobriety still is very important to me. It's not as easy as before. Now, let's fast forward. That was for the first like 6 years, 5.5 years. 2014, things started changing for me. I pursued an avenue of my life because it was a plea from my mother. So I gave it my all for the first few times, for the first 1.5 years, but you should know something about me. If you follow me on Instagram, you guys know that I go on these rants once in a while. There are two things that really make me upset, or I have zero tolerance for, and that's stupidity. Just straight up stupid. Just straight up stupidity. Like people that will say things without backing it up, without even thinking, like acting without reason, things like that, like just stupid. And the second thing is injustice. Injustice. I have almost a zero tolerance for injustice. When I see something happen and then it's like covered up or manipulated, perverse, so that it's like turned back on someone and there was like a victim kind of situation. I get really angry. I have to say something. I have to act. I have to do something. In my case, it was like threatening to tell, you know, things happened, and that's when it got really hard for me. And that happened 2015. So the last 4 years honestly have been extremely difficult, especially when my First Amendment rights were violated, like were being threatened. So it's been very difficult. However, when I left and I found myself in another space without specific people in it, I had no reason. I haven't had a desire to drink from October 2018 until September 2019. Like, just clean and clear. This last month has been like the worst. The last 2 weeks was legit straight up hell. Such hell that I was basically almost crying every single night. It was not like one thing that triggers it. It really isn't, because by your 9th year, you've developed, well, I'll talk about it a little bit more later, but like, you develop the power to have control of your facilities, meaning not like just your facilities, but your inner facilities, like how you react to certain things, how you deal with things, how you manage stress and all that stuff. You become different. So when you meet people that have been sober 20, 30 years, you usually go with the word wise, whether they're 50 years old or 36. But the word that you usually find in those people are the word wise, because they don't react to, they're not one of those people that are explosive. When it comes to something, they want to know the facts, they want to talk about it, they want to walk through your options. That's what kind of gives you this feel of security and wisdom. All of that freaking flew out the window. It was like so many things just happened. It was like disrespect from my own students. Not all of them are bad, but specific students that I had poured my heart into and invested in, just like crazy disrespect, and disrespect from certain parents, and disrespect I feel like like honestly at this age and my level of experience, like 15 years, how long have I been teaching? For example, this is not a recent example, but I will give you an example of why I feel like I shouldn't be dealing with this. 10 years ago when I started, I was like 20 something, and this parent is refusing to pay, and that's fine. Like at that time, I was charging like rock bottom prices, like crazy bottom prices. This parent, I asked her to pay on time, because what had happened was she would pay late, and then that late payment she would think is that payment, and then not pay another one, and then pay another one and think that was paid. So in 1 month she wouldn't pay two, and then it became like many. I endured that for about 8 months, and then I was like, okay, now that I've officially given her like 4 months free, let me talk to her. So I say, can you please pay on time? And then she like literally goes off on me. I remember, she's a shrink, by the way, and she actually lives down the street. How funny is that? She goes, oh my gosh, this is so inappropriate. You know what? And then she goes, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, you know what I think this is? You're money hungry. You're money hungry. And you know what I think this is? I think it's because you are so young, you think it's okay to talk to a parent like this. I literally just said, can you just pay on time? Meaning, can you just pay per lesson? I think that's what I said. Can you just bring a check every single lesson, or you can prepay? And she goes, this is because you're young. You were older, you wouldn't talk to a parent like this. You wouldn't conduct business this way. I'm like, dude, you live in a house more than $1 million. Your husband is like a lawyer. You're a shrink. You can pay $35. I was like charging like $35 for her, like specifically for this family, because I saw something in their, I really saw a potential in her daughter. So I was okay with that price. And she said she's gonna leave the studio. Didn't pay me, by the way. So that kind of level of disrespect, that saying was said to me again, like on a higher and more like worse level in the last couple weeks, on the same day, same cancellation, no respect of time, on top of other things that was happening, on top of personal things, on top of health things, on top of finance things, on top of school things. So like that literally compact to one day. And if you follow me on Instagram stories, you know that on one of the days it was just too much, and I almost started crying on Instagram. And then I just stopped posting for a few days because I was like, oh Grace, like you got a little too vulnerable, you need to just stop. Which is why this video was I can't believe I'm making this video, because I don't really talk about personal things, you know what I mean? Like private things. If you followed me on Instagram, you saw those stories. The stuff that you saw on Instagram is literally 1% of the stuff that went down. Like I can't even express to you, like, I mean, Tiffany was there while something was happening on Friday, and she's like, I can't even believe like how much has happened in one day. Like I can't even tell you, because I'm gonna just stop there, because even Tiffany, who was like there and was affected by it, can't even comprehend how bad things got. It got pretty bad, is all I'm gonna say. It was like regretting life choices. I'm like, why did I get into this? Why did I not into music? It was more like, why did I get into teaching if this is what my life was going to be like? Why did I spend the most important part of my 20s investing in, you know, this and these students and stuff like that, if this was going to be, if this is like not even one consideration of my time and being called names. I could have gone to another blank for my program, then I would have not been in the situation I'm in now. And it was just like spinning. That's what it is. It's basically spinning. It's like a vortex of all the shit going on, and then you're just like sucked in, and your only way out basically is to relieve it. And because every single direction you're being like basically attacked at that time, like every single way, family too, like just attacked. Like you have no way out. You literally have no way out. For the first time in my 10 years of sobriety, that was the closest I came to being breaking my sobriety this past couple of weeks. It got so bad that one day I was at the grocery store for food, and I ended up just in front of the wall of liquor, and I just stood there for like 30 minutes just looking at it, just breathing deep and being like, just even one of these bottles can take all of this away. Like no more tears, no pain, no problems. Like just, it will erase. That's the delusion, that it will erase your problem. Like it will, like you drink and that problem therefore then goes away, which is not reality. But in that moment of that kind of desperate destitution, that feels like an actual possibility of reality. And I remember like looking, and it was like Patron, and I was like, oh, just a few shots of that will just make everything so much better. And it was like, just take me home. Oh look, Grace, it's on sale. Take it home, Grace, take it home. And let me tell you, you've had that when the liquor starts freaking talking to you, you've had a bad freaking day, okay? And I remember just going, 9 years, 358 days, and 20 hours. Let's just get to 21 hours. And I got to 21 hours. And it got so bad by like day 62, just a few days ago. It got so bad that I was like standing here, because it was like, I think what hurts me the most is the disrespect from the students more than the parents. That is like a whole nother level of low for me, especially students I like invested in, on top of everything that's already going on. My stability the last few years was my identity as a violin teacher, even more so than a violinist, especially after my accident, even more so. Like, let me tell you, my accident in 2012 freaking derailed my career. Like, I couldn't play a scale. I couldn't even play chef chick. Like, I had to go back from being accepted as one of the 3 that was supposed to represent the United States of America in an international competition to not being able to play chef chick. That is like what my kindergartners play, my 5-year-olds, my preschoolers play. And I had to rebuild everything because I couldn't feel my 4th finger. It's much better now, but I still can't, like, I'll still fall off the fingerboard. Compared to that, this last 2 weeks has been worse. Like, I didn't even need, like, my need for drinking then is nothing compared to what I went the last couple of weeks. And that's just like, I can't even tell you everything that went wrong. But what I think hurt my soul the most was the disrespect from my students, because that was like no matter what was happening around me, the accent, whatever, the one thing that was always solid was my relationship with teaching. Whether I was here in New York, Boston, Texas, doesn't matter. That was my identity, and it was like all of a sudden everything just, oh, it was horrible. 5 days ago, I remember standing right here, like I couldn't even make it to the hour, and it went from like on day 58 it was like make it to hour 21 to make it to the half hour, make it to the 10 minute, make it to like the minute, and on that day it was like just, it wasn't even make it to the next millisecond, it was like just make it to the next breath. Let me get through the next 10 breaths. Let me make it to the next 12 breaths. It was the first time I actually looked up. Actually, no, that's incorrect. The second time. The first time was when something happened in 2015. And then not even the action. It was the reaction to that action that made me need like AA. So I looked up AA meetings. There was none open around me at that time. So I just never went. And that was the second time I ever looked for an AA meeting. Of course, nothing around me for some reason. They're all like in like downtown LA. And once again, I'm telling you guys, I did this on my own. I have no family that understands sobriety. My mom doesn't understand. Like this morning I woke up and it was like 6:30 in the morning. I was really excited. And I was like, Mom, today I'm 10 years sober. And she goes, what is that? Because I don't even know the word in Korean. I don't even know if there was a word in Korean for sobriety. And she's like, and I told her it's like 10 years of me not drinking. And she doesn't understand that because she's never drank one day in her life. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, okay, you're just being a Christian. What do you say to that? You're like, okay, sorry Mom, bye. That was, like when I tell you I have like literally no support other than Jesus. I mean, I have no support other than Jesus. And in that moment, I literally just wanted to quit everything, stop everything, bleep everything, and drink. And somehow I'm sitting here now on day 366 of year 9, which is the first year of my 10th year of being sober, making this video that is much longer than I thought it was going to be, to say I am 10 years sober, and that is by the grace of God. So if you're thinking about a life of sobriety, faith helps. For me, my personal relationship with Jesus is what got me through. I think AA is also a great tool. From what I understand about it, it was the first time I actually read through the 12 steps was on day 362. And which is funny because in this room somewhere is actually the motto of the AA. It's like a prayer they say at the end of every single meeting, which I didn't even know. It was literally what I connected to. I found it and I connected it and I hid it in the room. Somewhere in the room. I don't know. If you can tell me where it is, you get like an extra bonus point. But it's in the room somewhere. And anytime it got really hard for me, I would look and I remember the prayer and I would say the prayer and it's done. And then it's just like that moment of saying the prayer, it's only 3 sentences long. It's 3 statements basically. And it's enough time to give yourself it's enough to get yourself out of the vortex that you're like in the green zone, and you're not like in danger anymore. So, for me, these steps worked. For every single person, I think you need to find out what works for you. For me, it is 100% my relationship with Jesus. There's just no way to take credit for that. Because my friends who went through rehab are struggling with it. Even, it's like my 2 weeks of hell is like their every single day. And they've fallen multiple times. And I'm just grateful that 2009 I started and 2019 I'm still here. So let me now tell you about year 10 going into year 11. I wish I could sit here and tell you that by your 10th year, you have no desire to drink. The desire to be free. I think that's what I should say. The desire to be free from your problems through alcohol. And I'm going to tell you, as long as you have some problems you have to overcome in this world. And if you were one of those people that self-medicated and alcohol was like a coping mechanism for you, it's not going to be like you're not going to want to drink anymore. I'm going to just talk about it for me. the alcohol taste and all that stuff is not what I miss at all. It is the blacking out. It's the not having any problems while you're blacked out. Or like right before, like right between tipsy happy to where nothing freaking bothers you anymore. That zone is basically, that's what I miss, especially the last couple weeks. But rationally, I understand that reality that doesn't change just because you drink. But what I will tell you is that you're 10. Every single day you choose with your own will and power to be sober is a day you're going into the gym and exercising. Like those people that work out and run and lift weights after their 10th year, they may come in scrawny or fat or whatever, but they are fit as F when they work out every single day like that for 10 years. Envision what that person is to you, who starts at year 1 and then year 10. Like imagine how jacked, fit, powerful they are. That is you on the inside. That is your will. That is your power. That is your strength. Though the desires of the side effects of alcoholism, that might not get easier. That may not get easier, but you will be powerful as F to deal with it. And I think that is the reason why one should strive to be sober every single day. If you're watching this video, well, number one, thank you for making it this far. This was not the intention of this video. It was not supposed to be this long, but thank you for watching this far. And if you're here because you are either trying to get sober or you're in it, let me know your story and how you deal with overcoming certain things. In AA, there's a sponsor, and you call your sponsor or you talk to your sponsor and they help you get past, go from the red to the green zone. If you're doing this on your own, sometimes just having a sounding board is enough. If you've been sober for a while, write down your coping techniques. Like, how do you get past that moment of hell? How do you get yourself from the red to the green zone? Because I'm sure the community, your response on how you deal with hardships could somehow impact another person. That was the biggest reason why I decided to make this video and upload this video at this late of time. And I hope that this helps someone out there. You're not alone, and you do have, I guarantee there should be a community around you somewhere that will support you. If not, I'm here. Let's live the sober life together. Because it gets better. So keep it up, sober fam. Alright, thank you so much for joining me, and until next time, peace.